representing the best in music. That's why the world loves them so much. Big up, 10 Star and Empress Mambo.
That's King Lorenzo right now representing for SPRB Radio Podcast, 10 Star General, Sharon Mango. You don't know, live and direct. See? Keep it locked. Upliftment, positivity. Boom! Roots reggae, man. SPRB champion. Lock it.
Wrap it up! Yeah, man, we lyrics, the plainclothes warrior. And remember, I am fully endorsing SPRB Radio Podcast with 10 Star General and Sharon Mango. And the best podcast out there, you know. The best podcast never come last. Just check them out. SPRB Radio Podcast with 10 Star General and Sharon Mango. I'm representing just for SPRB Radio. The best podcast never come last, and we lyrics I said that. 10 Star! Yeah, man, them for know that.
It's again Kerry Lopez. Alright, about now I just want to say big respect to the SPRB crew. Yes, 10 Star General and Miss Sharon Mango. I, Kerry Lopez, I say big respect.
10 Star General and Sharon Mango, bringing us live conversation shows. SPRB Radio Podcast, raising awareness so we can know. We want to know.
All I can say is slide welcome to the SPRB Radio family. Can you have
through word, power and song. We want to know things in our community. SPRB Radio Show.
Hey, Jerry Harris, you're in tune to Up Close and Personal with 10 Star General and Sharon Mango, so don't go anywhere. Stay tuned.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, 10 Star General, and today we have another brilliant show. Today we are going to be having a conversation with a legend. When it comes to songwriting, this man is top of the top. He is the Don de la Don. He is the Don of Dons.
You're so funny.
Trust me, you know. Anytime I hear that name, Jimmy Lindsay, it takes me right back to my childhood. You know what I mean? So we're going to have a great conversation with Jimmy Lindsay. Before we start, we cannot go any further without speaking to the wonderful, delightful Sharon to the Julie Mango.
Oh, wow. Julie Mango.
Which
all of them, East Indian, all of them. I claim all. Right. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I am Sharon Mango, and yes, today we have a legend, one of my favorite artists, actually, and we're so pleased to have him. And 10 Star, how are you doing?
I am doing absolutely fine. I'm a work in progress, and
yes, you are.
Yes, you are. You know,
yes.
We're gonna kick off the show. Before we play anything, I'll tell you what. Let's bring in the great, the legend, Jimmy Lindsay.
Hey.
Jimmy!
Hello, how are you?
Good. Loud, man, make it loud.
How are you doing, sir?
Yeah. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, it's our pleasure. This is an honor.
It was imperative. Before we had anybody else on, we said, Jimmy Lindsay.
Get him quick.
How's life been treating you?
Well, it's been good because I'm still here. I'm still alive. Against all the odds, I'm still here.
Can I ask you a personal question? What is the secret to your aging backwards?
Wow, that's a good question. I think for a long time now, I've been very concerned about what I put in my body. And like I say, you are what you eat. So, you know, if you eat junk, then that's what you turn out to be.
Absolutely. Now, what I've ascertained in this very short moment is that think from your end there's a slight delay, so uh, we're going to be mindful of the slight delay in the background. Once again, it's great to have you here. We're going to dive right into it. You're welcome to Up Close and Personal. This is the show where you've been on our show before many years ago, many moons ago. I think that was 2013 or so. And we had a brilliant conversation at the time. You had a beautiful song which came out, something to do with Thatcher.
Thatcher? Is that what you said? Oh, no.
We're now seeing not more. But
it was called The Bitch Is Dead.
Yes.
The bitch is dead.
Yeah, I love the title of that song. But anyway, we're going to talk about your journey. We're going to go straight into it. I want to bless up anybody who is here. Sharon, if you can give people the information about liking, sharing, and so forth.
Yes, of course. Again, today we have the great Jimmy Lindsay. And without any further ado, we do want people to like, subscribe, and share the channel for amazing interviews like this. So we're about to get into. Again, please like, subscribe, and share the SBRB radio channel. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sharon. So let's get into it. So just reading your bio, you were born in Kingston, Jamaica. And you were there for roughly 9 years, if I read it correctly. What is your memories of growing up in Jamaica, Kingston, Jamaica?
Well, I've got really quite fond memories of that, even though it was quite some time ago, because we were allowed to be children. We were allowed to explore our environment, and I think that's something that's so lacking in nowadays, because children don't have that sort of freedom anymore, especially with the world we're living in now and the dangers that's out there. But as a youth in Jamaica, I mean, there wasn't the risk level wasn't as high then as it is now.
Yeah.
Okay. You have brothers, sisters, and all that?
Yeah, I've got brothers and sisters. Some are still with us. Some have passed away.
Okay. Mom, dad, what was mom and dad like?
Right.
Well, my mother is still alive. My father passed away some years ago. But my mother's still here. Unfortunately, she's quite ill. She has dementia, but she's still with us.
Amen. Our condolences about your father.
Yes, for sure. Are you the eldest child? Were you the eldest child?
Yeah, well, it's my family split because my mother and my father had separate relationships. But on my father's side, I'm the second son.
Okay.
On my mother's side, I'm the
oldest.
Okay. Are you the only musician in the family? The person into music?
Yes, some of my children are into music, but of my generation, I'm the only one.
Okay. So you leave, so you have fond memories of Jamaica. You decide to leave Jamaica, and now, who was the person who came to UK first, or did you all just come along to the UK?
No, well, my father left Jamaica in 1953, and my mother came to England in 1958, and she sent for me, and I arrived in 1959.
Okay.
Wow.
What is your recollection of London Cool?
I've got a rather fun memory, actually, that I tell some of my children, because I remember I arrived in February, and it was winter time, and the first thing I did when I arrived, I got up one morning and I went outside, and I'm looking for this tree, and I couldn't find it, and I was so angry. I couldn't find the tree. So, I went back to my mom and I told her, I said, I was looking for this tree and I couldn't find it, and I want to go back home to my grandmother in Jamaica because I don't like it anymore. It turned out I was looking for the money tree, and there wasn't any.
You heard about the good old money
I was
tree.
looking to pick some money to send back home to my grandmother.
Oh, Jesus, Lord.
Yeah, so you live and you learn.
That was that really was a saying, though, isn't it? The money tree there, England.
Yeah. And as a child, I actually believed it, didn't I?
You believe in it, boy?
Yeah.
So,
Wow, that's
and
funny.
I'm assuming back in those days, from what I think I remember, Ted Heath must have been Prime Minister.
Oh my God, Ted.
No, this was before Teddy. Harold Wilson was before him, I think. And there's another one that I can't remember that was actually Prime Minister at the time.
Wow.
Was it? I don't know. I can't remember his name, but I think he used to be a peerage.
Cunningham?
He gave up his peerage to become Sir something and went into the House of Commons. I can't remember his name now, but yeah.
Okay, so what is it you noticed about the UK when you came into the UK? Because I've, living through the 60s, I have my memories of what it was like. And from conversation, people went through different scenarios or whatever. What was your story like growing up in the UK as a 9-year-old?
Well, unfortunately, one of the things that I discovered was racism. And that was something quite difficult to deal with because I'd never experienced racism in Jamaica, and coming to England, that's when I first, experienced racism, and in a way, it affected me in some ways, but it also gave me an inner strength because of the experiences that I had and what was happening to some of the people around me, especially some of my friends that I saw suffering the consequences of racism. Being beaten up by the police and being arrested, being falsely charged, and things like that. Those are things that, as a youth at that time, you had to come to terms with, and you just live in the hope that it would never happen to you. Unfortunately, it did happen to me when I was in my teenagers, but that's another story.
What school did you attend, by the way?
I went to, first of all, my primary school was a school that still exists now. It's just off Brixton Road. It's called Cowley Primary School. I went there, and then from there I went to Stockwell Manor. That's now been transformed into one of those other sort of educational things. But one of the things that I noticed is that black children weren't expected to learn, and so the establishment didn't make any effort to try to teach us. They basically wrote us off.
Yes.
I thought I was the only one that went through that.
We thought we were the only ones, but that's real talk. That's right.
No, I say to my children, and sometimes because I used to go into schools as well and do talks and so on, and I let them. I said, look, the sacrifice we made, people like me made those sacrifices so that you could have the opportunity of an education that you've got now. So please take full advantage of it, because we never had that opportunity. We were denied that.
Yes, sir.
I can remember one teacher, my science teacher. Her name was Mrs. Bradley. I'll never forget her. She came to me after they'd given us some stupid exam at the end of our school term, and she said to me, "I'm sorry." And I said, "Why?" She said, "If I'd realized that you would have passed your science exam, I would have allowed you to take it." Yeah, because when they gave us their exam, their science exam, I excelled so well in it that she knew, had I been given the opportunity, I would have passed GCSE science, but they didn't give us the opportunity. But she was the only one that had the level of consciousness to come back and actually apologize about it. All the rest just didn't care because they'd written this up from the start.
Right. I mean, I think a lot of us had, similar stories. I remember many wanted to be, do electronics and various other things. They had ambition back then, as, kids growing up in the 70s, especially, and the 80s. But what we found was they didn't want us to aspire to what we wanted to become. Some people wanted to do air traffic control. Some people wanted to be scientists, but they made you believe that you couldn't do it. Wouldn't it be better if you played Space Invaders and test out the games for Sega?
Yeah, well, I had a really good friend of mine, a girlfriend of mine at school. Her name was Judy Boone. Her name was, and when you're in the fifth year, you usually get a conversation with either the headmaster or the head of the year to determine what sort of career you were aspiring to.
Right.
And she came in and she told the headmaster that she wanted to become a midwife. And he basically ridiculed her and told her she should be looking to stack shelves in Woolworths.
Imagine.
But she suffered the indignity of what he said, and she started off as an auxiliary nurse at Tooting Hospital, and eventually she became a midwife. So yeah.
Love that.
Yeah. Go ahead,
Love
Sharon.
that. Right, but just to echo even what Jimmy is saying, that's what they did to all of us. They never encouraged you to want to even excel. No, when you get a job at Marks and Spencer's, and matter of fact, I don't know if I don't know if you remember, but they had us go out to work while we were still in school, but they only put you in places like Marks and Spencer's or Woolworths just for the work experience. It was never, you want to, go to a lawyer's office and learn. None of that.
Yeah.
None of that.
And
I mean, when I left school, it was the same type of situation that I found, because I remember a situation where I went to work at for TMC, which was a telephone manufacturing company in Norwood, near to where I was living. Now, I was offered a job as a labourer, but a colleague of mine who was in the same class as myself, he was white. He didn't have any more education than I had. He was offered an apprenticeship, and I was just offered a job as a labourer. And it turned out that I had to fall out with the foreman at the time because he wanted to take liberties. But one thing that I had going for me at the time was that I had music going.
Right.
And when I fell out with my headmaster at school, I was actually earning more money than my headmaster because I was gigging on weekends and earning money.
Imagine.
So
So it seems from very early you pretty much knew what you wanted to do. Where was your mindset after leaving school? Just before you left school and once you left school, where was your mindset?
well, what I wanted to do, I really wanted to play music. I wanted to be involved with music. At times I had to work because in those days you weren't necessarily we weren't professional. That means we weren't earning a living from music.
Yeah.
It wasn't until later on that we decided, you know what, make or break, we're just going to concentrate on the music and just deal with it full time. But up until then, I had to do little jobs here and there. And I was fortunate that I was in a situation where if I got uptight or upset with the work that I was doing, I could afford to tell them, look, use ticket, give me my card, and I'm going. So I didn't have to put up with a lot of things that other people might have had to because they were totally dependent on that job. I was fortunate that I wasn't in a situation where I was totally dependent on a job because I had music as something to fall back on.
Right. How did music become part of your life in the professional sense of the word?
Well, like I said, we just progressed from that semi-professional level till we decided, this is what we wanted to do full time. And
how did the band come together in the first place?
Well, I remember I was walking home from school one day, and I heard this noise coming out of some building and other. And when I checked it out, there was some guys in the garage making a whole load of noise playing music.
Mm.
And I decided I was going to stop by and have a listen. And a couple of times after that, I stopped by and had another little listen until we started to talk to one another and so on. And to cut a long story short, I ended up joining the band as a singer. And I remember we did our first gig at a Stockwell Primary School, just off the Stockwell Road.
Right.
And the drummer, his mum wouldn't let him come out that night. So I had to play the drums and sing. I'm not a drummer, but we just got to it anyway. You know, we just mashed our way through, and we thought we were fantastic. But then, you know, we were biased actually in our opinions.
Right. So what was the name of the band?
The band was called The Healers.
The Healers. Okay. Right. Did you have any formal singing skills initially?
No, it was just something that, you know, I just worked on, and I just developed it naturally, you know. And the more I did it, the more I gained confidence, and that was it, really.
Right.
That's amazing to hear, actually, because you're actually a natural. I'm sure that you know that now. You don't just develop that; it's in you. It's somewhere in there, and just to know you could just, because your vocals are so smooth, just very smooth and calming. No matter what you're singing, you have that in you. So I don't know. I don't know how that came about, but he said, no, I didn't. It was in you, man. Nobody don't have vocals like that.
I think I was just lucky that I'm able to do what I do, and I'm grateful to it and for it, really. You know, it's given me so many varied experiences. It's taken me around the world. I've met some really interesting people, and I'm really grateful that I've had, you know, been lucky enough to be able to do what I do.
So let's just recap, because the first band that you became part of were called the Healers.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, how long did that band last for, and why did you guys break up?
I think it lasted for about 5 years or so. Yeah, about 5 years or so. Well, what happened really is that we started off, with about 4 or 5 of us, and then we brought other people into the group, and we were about 7, 8 people at that time, and these promoters wanted a band to go to Beirut, and one of the people that we actually brought into the group was at a later stage. He was an elder to us, so we basically gave him this sort of leadership situation within the band.
Right.
And the next thing you know is that he was offered the situation to go to Beirut, but they didn't want everybody. So he decided to abscond with some of the members and leaving myself and a couple of other members behind. And that's how the group broke up.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that was a coup.
I mean, you know, it's like a cutthroat situation, really. I mean, I don't think I would have done what he did, but at the same time, I can understand why he did what he did.
Right. What did you understand?
But he just wanted to be out there. He wanted to be playing music, and this was an ideal opportunity. And he felt that, you know, if he could get it done, he's going to get it done. And if it means that he's got to, you know, dump 3 or 4 members that was there originally, then that's what he felt was the best thing for him to do, and that's what he did.
Okay.
And you know, things went full circle, because later on, when I formed the band together, he actually was one of the musicians playing in my band.
So you came back full circle.
Yeah.
Right. Brilliant.
But I mean, honestly, did you not have any doubts?
Yeah.
Okay. When he came back.
You know, When he can, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, that was history. That was done and dusted as such. You know, I still appreciated him as a musician, and I thought he brought something to my band. So, I put all of that behind me and just accepted him as part of what I was doing.
Right, right, right. So how do you move forward from there now? Because now you're left in the lurch. Music is definitely something you wanted to do. So I'm gonna assume Monday was your next call.
No, Simandi came after actually because
Huh?
after my band sort of dissipated as such, a
Mhm.
guy called Ken Edwards, they call him Admiral Ken. He had a club by Liverpool Street called All Star,
Okay.
and he was also managing a group at the time that had broken up,
Mhm.
and he wanted to put a different band together. So he invited me to join with this band, a band called Pure Medicine, and it was
Mm.
all white guys and myself, and there was a black lady was part of the band. Her name was Claire Rain,
Okay.
and we did a lot of more psychedelic type material. But
Oh
Mhm.
one of the
wow.
greatest things, yeah, one of the great things is that Ken was also a promoter,
Mhm.
apart from the club, but he was promoting. So we had to, we got the opportunity to play with people like P. Arnold, Arthur Brown, um, Emerson Lake and Palmer,
Right.
Joe Cocker, and because he was promoting those shows, and we would be like
Joe Cocker.
you know, yeah. And I remember one day we went to, it was either Oxford or Cambridge. I can never remember which university it was,
Mm.
but we went to this university, and we was like, at that time we was the headline act at that particular time. And
Right.
when we got there, there was this band playing, and they were absolute rubbish. They was making a whole load of noise. And they just banged on and banged on and banged on. And that group was called Status Quo,
Oh my
Oh
gosh.
wow.
you know. And one of the other things that we have that I have in common, slight in common with Status Quo, is that when I joined Simandi, the
Mm.
producer of the band Simandi was
Yeah.
also the producer of Status Quo.
Okay. Imagine that.
You can't even make that up.
Yeah, so yeah, yeah,
Now,
but
now refresh my memory. Monday was Henry Barnes part of that group and that band?
not when I was there, not as far as I remember. It was Patrick Patterson, Steve Scipio, Mike
Mm.
Rose, Pablo Gonzalez, Sam Kelly, Derek Gibbs,
Right.
and myself. Prior
Okay.
to that, Joey D used to be the singer, but they were on tour in America when they fell out with Joey, and they were halfway through the Promised Heights album. And when they came back to England, I joined the band then to finish off the album.
Okay.
Um, but one of the
What
things I
album
must say
was
is
that,
that,
by the way?
sorry,
What album was that you were part of?
Promised Heights.
Okay.
This was their third album. After they did Samandi, then they did Second Time Round, and then they did Promised Heights.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was on that album. And then after Promised Heights, they split up for some time. But then again, that's another story now because they're back together again. Um,
Okay.
but one of the things that I do remember is just how good the level of musicianship was with Simandi.
Right.
They were an excellent, probably
Right.
one of the best bands in the UK at the time, although they never got the recognition for it.
Yeah.
But they were certainly one of the best bands.
They
And
remind me of Osibiza. Is it Osibiza?
yeah, I mean, I remember also an encounter with Teddy O.C. when before he started Osibisa, because
Okay.
uh, fast forward, I was with another band called The Garments, and Teddy O.C. he came down to audition as a sax player,
Right.
And when he came down, the drummer and the guitarist nearly at a mad confrontation, so to
Oh
speak.
no.
And I remember Teddy saying, "In peace I come, in peace I go," because he didn't want to be a part of that, because he thought we was going to kill one another. So
Wow.
he left, and then later on he formed Osibisa.
Hmm. That was a great band. And it's only when you told me about Samonday that's when, because at the time back then, I bought two albums. I think one was a funk album, and the other one was called, I think back in '72, was called Simande, the name of the group.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, the first Debridge album was called Simandi.
Right,
Yeah.
right,
Like I said,
right.
they were fantastic musicians.
Yeah.
We had disagreements, but I still respect their musicianship, not necessarily their integrity, but definitely their musicianship.
Would you say that band kind of shaped your singing style?
Not really, because I think when I from the Ealers days, we were we were sitting doing soul songs, and we were doing a bit of reggae as well, you know. And then, like I said, when that folded, I was doing things like Season of the Witch and Killing Floor and that sort of stuff with Pure Medicine, you know.
Right.
So I sort of a variety of influences,
Right.
and I also was influenced very much by people like Otis Redding and James Brown and Marvin Gaye. Yeah, so all of that was quite influential in terms of
Right.
me
Go,
as an artist and how I developed.
go ahead, Sharon.
Oh, I was gonna say, when you listen to your voice, you can tell that because the collaborations, I guess you could say, with the different genres of music, like you were able to put yourself in the different genres of music, not just the reggae. And I think that is a big part of who you are, because you can be, I guess, eclectic. I guess you can kind of hear it in your vocal arrangements. You know what I'm saying? The outside influences of the different genres makes Jimmy Lindsay's voice Jimmy Lindsay, because you can go anywhere.
Yeah.
You can dive into any type of music and not feel out of place, basically, is what I'm
Well,
saying.
I've tried to be flexible and to be able to accommodate whatever musical environment I might be in. So and I hope that I've done it well. I hope
You
that I've
have
done it
done it
justice.
well, because not a lot of people, listen, not a lot of people can do that. People could be the greatest singers in the world, and I know, and even musicians, but they only know one kind of style or type of genre to stick to. So when they get into another, they're fumbling. It seems effortless.
Well, thank you, but I've been trying now for quite a few years. So
Well, this is true. Well, yes, yes, yeah, and it shows. It 100% shows. But the simple fact that you were open to these different genres makes
yeah,
you quite worldly. How I would see it, makes you very worldly, because you are open to the different genres and what you can bring to the table. So that
yeah.
is,
I mean, I used to go sometimes. There's a pub called the Half Moon in Hernhill, and years
mhm,
ago they used to have a blues session there. And sometimes I'd go there and I'd jam with them on stage as well.
mhm.
Because it's all music really,
It's
and
music. Yes, it's music.
it's all, and if you love it, you just get involved. It doesn't matter what genre it is. Although
Yeah.
I have my preferred genre of music that I'm more into, but I'll jam with blues musicians. I've jammed with jazz bands as well, where I'm just skating and bubbling through things, and just enjoying it. Really, because
Mhm,
that's,
mhm.
I mean, if you're not enjoying it, then you shouldn't really be doing it.
Very true.
That's very very true. Very true. Go ahead, Ten Star.
Yeah, because I remember bands like um, the Rudies, which became the Greyhounds. They came out.
Yeah, well,
Um,
I know those guys personally as well, because Freddie Notes used to be a part of the Rudies.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
and Danny, the drummer, and I go back a long way as well. He lives in America now, but he was a good friend.
Right.
Um, yeah, I mean, you see, what a lot of people don't understand. People like the Rudies, like the Ealers, like the early Simons and the Reckenbeckers and so on. We were the avant-garde. If it hadn't been for people like us, there wouldn't have been a Bob Marley.
Right.
You know, there wouldn't have been a Steel Pulse or a Third Roll or Oswald or any of those bands,
Right.
right? Because we were the ones that went out there and did the little youth clubs and so on and got the young people interested in reggae music that
Yeah.
eventually forced people like the BBC to play reggae music and bring it to the heights that it got to, you know. So I mean, and I'm not claiming ownership, but I'm claiming a part of it, and I'm saying that I was proud to have been a part of that avant-garde, that movement that's created what we've got now. Although I am disappointed with a lot of what's happening out there now, but hopefully we'll get to that.
But one of the things that I'm happy with is the fact that even though when you came into the UK, it was rife with racism, but even though it was rife with racism, you were still able to get ahead in the music world. Because when I look at, musically what it was like back then to where it is now, I kind of would have picked the 70s any day, especially where the music is concerned. Your name became a force to reckon with. At some point, before we even talk about any of the songs you've done, I think, if my memory serves me well, one of the first songs you did was "Where Is Your Love." Would I be correct?
That "Where's Your Love" is on the first album, although it wasn't the first song. Um, the
Okay.
first song that I actually did was never released. It was with Pure Medicine, a song called "Season of the Witch."
Ah,
It was never released, but I remember doing a PA at the Lacana in Streatham. At that
mm,
time, it was quite a lot of young people, maybe 2,500, 3,000 young people there, and they
right.
just went mad for it. Although it was never ever released. But the first
So what
song that
was
was
that?
actually released was a track called "Motion,"
Mm,
and that was released before Easy, before the albums came along.
okay. Well, we have one of your songs here, and there's "Where Is Your Love." I actually like this, and I think this goes back to 1980. Would I be correct?
Yeah, 79, 79. Yeah, 79, 80. That's all.
79, 80. So we're just going to put a few bars of this.
ERB Radio Podcast.
And now that you're leaving me, before you go, tell me truthfully, the vows that we both made, did you make them seriously? 'Cause you said your love was mine until the end of time. But then, oh said where's your love gone? The love you promised to me. The love you
Really was.
SPRB Radio Podcast.
When last have you seen a tape like that, Sharon?
And that's what I'm saying. When let's be look at the reels in the back.
Donkey's years.
Wow.
What memory does that bring, Jimmy?
Do you remember the series Obi City?
Holby City.
Yeah, something like that. It's like a medical thing, a doctor's what have you.
Yes. Back in the days when I used to watch TV. Yes.
Yeah, well, the doctor, you know, the black doctor, one of the main characters.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, he was the engineer.
What?
Really? Wait a minute. Really?
Yeah. If you look, when you go back, you look back at it again, you recognize him.
Right.
He was the engineer in that. Just before he became famous.
Right.
History.
I'm looking at the guy and I'm going, wow, you're right.
And the guy who's playing the producer was also that's Larrington Walker, my really good friend. He was also my best man at the wedding. Unfortunately, he passed away a few years ago, but he was very, very much a part of my music for both Where's Your Love and Children of Rastafari album.
Right.
Wow.
Right. So now, remind me, Where Is Your Love came first, and then Easy. Was it Easy, and then?
No, Easy came first. Easy was the song really that opened a lot of doors for me. It's a double-edged thing because it's sad in that Lloyd Coxon, who produced it,
take me on that journey.
He lacked the necessary integrity for me and him to work any further in terms of that. And I think what it did, we lost opportunities because of it. But at the same time, it opened other doors for me because I was approached by Gem, which is a subsidiary of RCA Records, and they signed me and took time to listen to what I had to say and to allow me the freedom to do what I wanted to do.
Take me on the initial journey of that particular song.
You're right.
Well, I just returned back from West Africa because I took some time out and I went to Ghana. Initially, I was going to stay there for about 3 weeks, and I ended up staying down there for about 5 months.
Okay.
But I came back really rejuvenated, so sort of like culturally and roots wise. And after I came back, this was 76, and Lloyd Coxon approached me because we had done motion together and nothing really happened with it. But he approached me and said, well, he had this track, and immediately I heard it. I said, yeah. And the level of musicianship was really, really excellent because it was Lloyd Parks, Sly Dunbar, Chinna Smith, and other musicians who were visiting from Jamaica at the time, and they went in the studio and actually laid the track, and I went in. There was a studio in Tooting, just on the high street. Just I can't remember the exact number, but Tooting High Street. So I went in to do the vocals. And when I got there, Lloyd Coxon hadn't arrived yet. But I decided I was going to do the vocals anyway and wait until he gets there. And not too long after I arrived, Dennis Brown came in. And I just finished the vocals. So I said to Dennis, do you want to help me do the backing vocals? And he didn't hesitate at all. And he came in and we did the backing vocals together. And I thought, I mean, at that time, Dennis was massive.
Yeah,
he just put all the ego aside, and he just came down, sang the backing vocals with me, just like that.
So Dennis Brown on the backing vocals.
I didn't know that. Though. Wow.
Yeah, and he didn't ask for any rewards. He didn't ask for any mention. He just did it because it was music.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that was kept.
So by the time Lloyd arrived at the studio, we'd done the vocals and everything, and basically it was just and the engineer to decide how they're going to mix it and so on. And
Who
The
played
story
the
is
lead
that. Sorry,
Who played the lead guitar?
Chinna Smith.
Oh my God,
Yeah, yeah.
that solo is incredible.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, to this day, it's still a fantastic solo. You know, well, apparently, after Lloyd had finished mixing it, he went to Island Records because I think Chin and them lot was going down there, whatever, and he went down with him. And it just happened that Chris asked him what Lloyd Carson was doing, and he played the track Easy, and Chris fell in love with it straight away and said yes, he wanted to put it out.
No wonder it ended up on Island Records because initially, did it come out on the Hive?
No. It came out on Black Swan. That was Island. But also Lloyd did a dirty with them as well, because Lloyd also pressed it on Tribesman label after he signed the contract with Island, and he was pressing it separately to what Island was doing. You know, that was part of the lack of integrity that really caused a lot of hassle and so on. And also because he wasn't. He cheated me as well, He cheated me out of the royalties that I should have received, and that was another reason as well. I think why Ireland had to back off, because there was people in Ireland that knew that Lloyd wasn't treating me properly, and they didn't want things to escalate to a level where the record would blow up in a certain way, and then they couldn't retain me as an artist. So at some stage, and there was a bit of internal politics as well, because at the time, both Aswad and Steel Pulse management was having a go at the promotional people at Island, because they're saying, well, no, Jimmy Lindsay isn't signed to Island Records. Why are you spending money promoting him and blah, blah, blah? And I'm selling 5,000 records a day. And then all of a sudden they tell me, oh, the press broke down and we couldn't press any more records. So, I mean, I know that was a tactical move to pacify people in there, because the way I'm looking at it, if you're selling 5,000 records a day and the press breaks down, you go and find another place to press it.
Exactly.
But that was all part of the strategy, and it cost me in that the record easy would have made top 10 definitely had they kept pressing it and promoting it. But with the friction, with what was happening with the bands that were signed to them, the fact that they knew that Lloyd was ripping me off, they decided, you know what, we don't want to get involved any further.
Right. Wow. Never knew that these things were going on. So I guess one of the good things that this did for you, it put you on the radar even more.
Yeah, and like I said, it was like a double-edged sword, because what happened is that a friend of mine who was doing the rounds of record companies, he's also a musician, Dick Stubb his name was, he's still alive, and he was going around record companies trying to get a deal, and he was playing his music to them, and then he got into conversation, and somewhere along the line, my name came up in the conversation, and he said, well, yes, I know him, and they gave him their contact information to pass on to me, and it turned out to be Gem Records, and I got in touch with them. We had a meeting. They came to watch me live. I was doing a gig at Dingwalls in Camden. They came along. They were really excited. They loved what they saw, and they decided to sign me and to give me the necessary funds that I needed to make the music I wanted to make.
Right.
Look at that.
Now, did you have knowledge of the industry before you got into it, into these, and did you sign any contracts?
Yeah, I had a basic knowledge, but I remember the chairman of Gem Records saying to me that all record companies are liars, cheats, and bastards, and Lawrence Mears. And that's exactly what he turned out to be. Yes, I had a lot of financial freedom in that I would come up with a budget that I needed. They would give me the money, and then I'd go and produce a product. But what I didn't realize was the full details of the contract that I'd actually signed, because unfortunately I didn't take legal advice, and it gave Lawrence Mears a lot more control than I'd expected.
Right.
And he used it against me, really, because he robbed me out of tens of thousands of pounds.
Wow.
And and then he actually sold the rights to my music to the BBC behind my back.
Wow.
Wow. Wow.
So he exploited.
He exploited you, and that's the one that told you.
Oh,
that
yeah.
He exploited.
I mean, I wasn't the only one. I mean, in that sense, I was still lucky because I had access to quite a substantial amount of monies that I was able to do. I could produce my own album. I didn't have producers, so it was all my own production. And I controlled the budget. I could pay my musicians properly. When I toured, I remember the first time I toured, I was touring with Ronnie Lane, and I was being paid £50 a gig.
Wow.
But I was in a position where I could pay my musicians £200 a week.
Right.
Because I said to the record company, look, once I've finished it, it's your product. If you want me to go out there and promote it, you have to pay. And they were willing to pay. So I got the funding so I could pay all my musicians. I could pay the hotels. I could pay to everything. So and that's how it was. And I was able to tour with Ronnie Lane, and my musicians were properly remunerated for the work that they were doing.
Right. So in your contract, that word in perpetuity, was that in there?
Yeah, because I didn't realize it at the time, but it meant that but he would own my music forever.
Yeah.
And I only found that out when I contacted the BBC, and they actually showed me the proof of the contract, and informed me that they'd done their due diligence, and they had every legal right to it. So there's not a lot I could do. I learned a really serious lesson from it. But that's water under the bridge now. There's not a lot I can do to change that. But my conscience is clear, because I know that within the music, I've never robbed or cheated anybody.
Right.
Oof.
The sad part. Yeah, it's kind of that's deep.
It is.
It's real deep, considering
This is not the first time from that camp that I've been hearing these kinds of complaints.
Yeah, well, I mean, in saying that, I was still luckier than a lot of my contemporaries, because one of the biggest rip-off companies at that time was Trojan Records.
Oh,
Trojan robbed nearly every single artist that ever put out any music from them.
Yeah.
And I remember when I used to go down to the Council Q Club, and I used to see Webster Schroeder, who was running it at that time, and he was coming down to the Q Club, and he was bossing a bottle of champagne and brandy and what have you, and he had a nice car to drive. And a few years later, when I was in Jamaica, I went down to Sunsplash, and I see the same Webster Schroeder sweeping out Junior Lincoln's tent. You understand me? Because he'd fallen that far down. You understand me? And I thought to myself, yeah, serves you right. Look at all the people you robbed.
You're robbed.
And it's just a reaction. They were just low life robbers. That's what they were, and they exploited every single artist on Trojan Records. I remember when Bob was here, the first time Bob came here, and Trojan was supposed to be looking after them. When my brother and I went to see Bob, they were broke, they were penniless, right? We gave them some money, we even gave them a jar to smoke and things like that, right? Because they didn't have anything. You understand me? And then Johnny Nash came on the scene and started to do some stuff with them. And then eventually Chris got involved with them, and like they say, the rest is history. So that was an opportunity. I mean, Bob became the biggest artist in reggae music, and Trojan had the opportunity to have him, but because they were ripping him off, You know, he had to go elsewhere because he had to feed himself and the rest of the band.
The rest of the
You
band,
know,
yeah.
so yeah, and that has been one of the biggest problems in reggae music: the lack of integrity. The promoters, the producers that rip off the artists. You know, now I don't know any artists, especially in reggae music, that packed up playing the music because they didn't like it or didn't want to play it anymore. They stopped playing it because they had to feed their family, they had to pay their mortgage, and so on. Not because they didn't like the music anymore, and it's because they were being exploited, they were being ripped off.
Till this day, I know quite a few who have been signed to Trojan. Till this day, they're still fighting for what is rightfully theirs, you know. And it is annoying, you know. I have a few choice words, but I'm trying to keep my sanity just hearing it, you know, because for a long time, you know, just knowing and hearing these stories back in, I think, 2012, 2013, you know, we gathered a team together, you know, people like the scientist, you know, we got him. We had people like Fitzroy from Mightiful 13 Records, Chris Hills, quite a few other people, Dobby Doo down in Florida at the time. And the reason for getting these people together was to host a show that would arm people with the knowledge, because it was evident that many people, we had people on like Linville Thompson, Freddie McGregor, you name it, who came on the show that were talking about their situations, which was going to court at that particular time. People like Silford Walker, who signed away his life basically, had 200 unreleased songs under Joe Gibbs, which never saw the time of day. I don't even think those songs are released today. But one of the problems was that I don't think Silford could comprehend that contract, right? So what really happened was when he signed his name, you know, because back then the artists, you have to understand that, as Jimmy knows, the artists just loved to do what they did.
That's what it is.
Whether they were getting paid or not, they were just loving to do what they did. And what happened was, you know, in the contract, it had that word. That's why I asked you, did it have that word in perpetuity in it? Because it meant that they would only music forever, you know, forever.
Yeah.
Daylight robbery.
Yeah. It is. I mean, so many artists that I know personally have been ripped off. You know, I think of you know, people like Louisa Marks. She had the first really massive so-called lovers rock with Caught in the Line. And you know, she died in Gambia penniless, you know, because Lady Cutson ripped her off and all the rest of them ripped her off. And it grieves me really, because I could see the potential of what could have been achieved if that level of integrity was embedded in our music and in the way we deal with it. But unfortunately it wasn't, and it's been detrimental to the music, because a lot of people that might have invested, they didn't want to get involved because they saw the level of corruption that was involved in it. You know, and if you're a serious business person, you don't want to put money behind something that you know is corrupt, that's likely to blow up in no time at all. So you know that doesn't do any good. You know, there's only a few people that I can honestly say that I've experienced within the music business, that I've got that level of trust and belief in them, and they're both dead now. One was Count Suckle, and the other one was Admiral Ken. You know, Count Suckle, he had that integrity. If you perform at Suckle's Club, you know, no matter what, you're gonna get paid.
Right.
Yeah. Likewise with Ken, when Ken did his show, even if he lost money, he would pay the artists and he would also pay us. You know. But nowadays you get promoters come along and they do a show and it don't work out all that well, and they come to you with a hard luck story and they don't want to pay you what they're supposed to. But on the other hand, if it's successful and they make a bag of money, they don't come and say, well, look, I not only I promised to pay you this amount, but you know what? It was a fantastic show. I made a lot of money, so here's an extra few hundred quid. You never hear that. You'll never see that. They come to you with a hard luck story, but they don't come to you when they're making money. They don't want you to be a part of that success.
Yeah, yeah. I want to take time to bless up Musical Heatwave. Norman, bless up yourself. Brick Queen, thank you. Vibesy, anybody else who's logged in, bless up yourself. Today we're speaking with Jimmy Lindsay, sharing his experience, his journey with us. Very interesting, exhilarating journey you've had, you know. I remember the song, like I say, I remember the song Easy. And you know, to us, that was a household name.
To
Jimmy.
this day, it still is.
Yeah, to this day, you know, it was a
His
household
particular
name.
track, yeah, his particular.
One of the people that I really have to thank for that, I think he's passed away now, was Erskine T. Because he was doing the reggae time at BBC on Sundays. He did it for about 6 weeks. And he played, normally reggae time only played a track once, but Erskine T played it every single week for 6 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, and that was like a major boost for it, because I remember, you see, when that track was first introduced to Ireland, and they had the production meeting, there's a guy there. I think his name was Les Palmer at the time. He was involved with the Notting Hill Carnival, but he was also doing some roots promotion with Island Records. Now Les knew me, and he knew that I'm out there as a youth, and I'm suffering and whatever. And when the production meeting came along, I don't know if you know, but there was the Fabian Prophecy was on the other side of the 12-inch. Now, Les was arguing that they should make Prophecy the A side, and my track the B side.
Right.
Even though he knew that I needed that, you know. Right. But Chris was adamant, and Chris said, "No, this is how it's going to be," and that's how it was.
Right.
And I was a bit disappointed, because I'm thinking, well, you know me, I'm here, I'm suffering. So why do you wanna hold my thing back? You know, that was just one of the experiences that I had. But I was also very fortunate in that in 1983, when I went down to Sunsplash, I actually met Fabian, and she and I just got on like you know, it was just amazing to meet up with her, and the vibes that was created between the two of us. Unfortunately, she's passed away now, but we had a really great time.
Funny enough, I was looking up for her for years, and then the minute that I came across her, you know, online, you know, next minute I heard she's passed, and I'm like, what?
Oh, she was young.
Yeah.
She was a young
Yeah,
woman.
she was young. Yeah. I don't think she was even as much as 50. I'm not sure, but I don't think she was as much as 50. She passed away.
She wasn't.
Yeah.
She
She kind of reminded me of a singer that Ariwa was producing at the time, called Jazik. I don't know if you know Jazik. And Jazik was an interesting kind of artist. She kind of reminded me of Fabian reminded me of Jazik. They had that same kindred spirit, it seemed, yeah. The other thing was, now, at the time we did Prophecy, was the Hive music label published?
Music Hive came along after Easy, actually, because I was with I had a band together that called Dambala.
That's right.
And we did a track called Zimbabwe.
Yes,
which I produced and put out on my Music Hive label.
Right.
And that was one of the first tracks that I actually put out on Music Hive. I did another track with a young lady called Susan Tyrrell, a track called Will We Ever Differ, and put that out as well. And then there's another band that came along, a band called Matic 16, and they did a track called Jehovah. Right. And I helped to finish recording it, and a friend of mine, Bernie Dixon, produced it and so on.
Right.
And that was a band that Levi Roots was the singer. You know, yeah, we put that out, and that sort of got them noticed to a certain level.
Right. Now, tell me, because I wanted to bring you back to Damballa. Tell me about how you got to know about Damballa, because I actually knew Gus, he was a family friend back then, and he used to come to our house frequently. And he came with the 12-inch Music Hive brown label. And he
Yeah.
said, I just have this brand new tune. And I said, yeah, let's hear it. And we put it on, one of the most rootsy till this day. That tune is ingrained in my DNA.
Yeah. I was looking to put a backing band together to because at that time Easy was bubbling and people were asking for Jimmy Lindsay to do shows and so on. So I wanted to put a band together, and through friends of friends, we managed to get in contact with Gus. He had a little unit together. So we just decided we started to put the music together, and that's how I got involved with
Right.
Damballa. And yeah, I mean, when I heard the track, I like yourself, I really like. I think in terms of the his songwriting, I thought it was a really fantastic song. I thought what it was saying at the time was very potent, and also when we put it out, the BBC refused to play it, which we knew that was going to happen because it was too
Yeah.
I'm
political.
not surprised, though. The things you were
Sorry.
saying in the Crucify Smith.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
well, yeah, crucify Smith and take back Zimbabwe and Tanzania, because
Love it.
it was stolen from us through violence. So, if
Mhm.
necessary, we have to go there and crucify the whole lot of them to take it back. So what?
Listen, hold on before you say another word.
RB Radio Podcast.
As it was when Jah made our land, so shall it be at the end, with a peaceful village and children playing around. They came 400 years ago into our village. They took our people, they also stole our wealth. Crucify Smith. Crucify Buster and take back Tanzania. Crucify Smith. Crucify Buster and take back Tanzania.
Anybody who doesn't have that tune, you need to go out and buy
You can still get it. Yes.
premature that tune, Jimmy. Trust me.
Yeah.
Let me just tell you something. Back in school, because we used to go through a whole heap of things as young youths. Racism was one of them, and understanding who we were as Black people. Now, as that song came out, I'm pretty sure Roots had come out with Alex Haley. So the more we saw, the more we heard about, Ian Smith in Rhodesia and who have you and the who have you in South Africa. It taught us about who we were. How did we get here? Because I used to wonder, how did Black people get here in this country? That's how my mind used to run. And then I'm hearing Roots Natty Congo by Johnny Clark. And then all of a sudden, Damballa and Jimmy Lindsay come off with Zimbabwe. Till this day, that song can't left my DNA. Anyway,
Yeah.
Jimmy talk.
It had a fantastic impact on quite a lot of people. But I think one of the most important musical statement in that era between the 60s and 70s was actually James Brown when he said, "Say it loud, I'm Black and I'm proud."
Mm.
That shifted everything. Everything shifted when he came out with that, and that because you see that gave black people their pride and their love of themselves
Yeah.
as black people. You know, and I think that was very, very important. A lot of people don't realize just how important that song and that statement was.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Powerful, powerful. Zimbabwe. That is one of my prized possessions. As a matter of fact, I've got the record somewhere. And my little brother at the time, stupidly, well, he was young, he didn't know any better, but he always wanted a frisbee. And he'd tip off just the first few seconds of the records. Anytime we used to play it, we had to play it just after the crack.
Shame.
Those were the days.
But you know, it's songs like that that brings you to certain parts of your life where you just like in school we weren't taught a lot of things, but we learned so much through songs like Jimmy's and others of such the like, and the wording, everything resonates to this day.
Yeah.
One of those, it's songs like that like the longevity songs, I call them. Some of the longevity songs, they're never going to go away. You can always pull upon it just to even reason with yourself. That's the beauty in writing and putting music together.
One of the arguments I had with Gem Records when I was with them, they also had a band called UK Subs, and they were a punk band, and they were spending a lot of money on UK Subs. And I turned to them, I said, look, there's going to come a time when you can't even give away one of their records, but you'll still be able to sell mine.
Right. Yes. That part, that's all. Right, that's all.
Yeah. I mean, UK Subs are still going. I mean, they're not doing as much as publicly as they used to in those days because they were quite a big punk band at the time. But I knew that it was only going to last for a little while because the music they were making is not music that your grandchildren are going to want to listen to.
Right.
But I know that the music that I was making, and I was hoping that my children and their children will still appreciate what it is.
Mm-hmm. It's longevity music, man. It's history making music because it's always going to resonate. It's always going to, the word I really want to use. It's always going to resonate. Right. It's always going to resonate with what is going on even to this day, at this very moment, this very minute. Even Easy. Look at that. Jimmy Lindsay's version of Easy. You can't go nowhere. You can't go pull a dance, and that classic don't come out.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy Lindsay.
I mean, I was quite surprised and at the reaction really because, I mean, a lot of people actually said that they preferred my version to the actual original version by Lionel Richie and the Commodores, and I was shocked. And even Lionel Richie said he liked it.
That's what I heard. I heard that. Yeah, I heard that. True.
Yeah, he said he did an interview with NEM, Enemy Music Magazine at the time, and he said yes, he really liked it.
Wow,
it's true.
Very nice.
I heard that. So that's not a lie. I heard that because I said, how this man made his money on his music easy, but Jimmy came and took it to another level.
Annihilated the original.
He killed it.
Now, don't get me wrong. The original is the original. The original will always be a classic.
Right.
But you came and made Easy your own in another category.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what made the difference. You weren't trying to replicate what he was doing or what Lionel Richie did. You made it yours.
I had to make it mine.
You had to make it yours.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of these soul artists need to remember, right, that when they do original songs, after a while, as the decades move forward, right, you're always going to have a generation of youths who are going to park those songs to the side and move on. They're always going to be creating something new, right? So when you have an artist that comes along now and does a rendition of the original, and you can do it greatly, it actually brings focus back to the original again, because people now remember, wait, so there's an original called Easy. Who is it by? Commodores. Everybody wants to rush and buy it now.
But yeah, I mean, a classical example of that was when Eric Clapton did "I Shot the Sheriff." That was a track that brought Bob Marley to the attention of the mainly white audience.
There you go.
And that was a very, very clever move of Chris Blackwell in getting Eric Clapton to record it, because at that time, and he still is, he's a massive, massive artist. So when I Shot the Sheriff came out, and they didn't play the original by Bob Marley, but because Eric Clapton, the white boy, had done it, they were playing it. And then when it became a hit, everybody wanted to know, well, who's this Bob Marley? Who wrote it? Who is he? And that, as they say, that was a major stepping stone for Bob.
Yeah. I think the other addition to what you're saying, in addition to what you're saying, I should say, is the invention, well, not invention, but how they implemented the rock guitar in roots music.
In roots, yeah.
I never thought it could be done before, until I heard it being done, and I'm like, what? And then hearing it in your song, Easy, just the way he plays, oh Jesus.
I mean, not only in Easy, but if on both albums, on Where Is Your Love and Children Rastafari album, the guitar plays a very, very important part in it. Unfortunately, my guitarist at the time is a guy called Milton Myrie, and he passed away 2 years ago, unfortunately. But when you listen to the albums and you listen to his guitar playing, it's just absolutely amazing. Yeah. Really, really amazing. Fantastic guitarist.
To be honest, I want to go back to when I think this is let me just go to the video itself, because I think this goes back to 1980 when you performed Easy on stage. And by this time, you've totally changed the arrangement. Every time I watch it, I have to get used to listening to a new sound. It took me a while, but the more I listened to it over the weeks when prior to me talking to you, I started listening to it more and more. And then when we fixed the date for you to come on the show, I was still trying to get used to it. The guitar solo is different. Everything is different. Today, as it stands, I just love this rendition of what you've done over Easy. So I want to play that, But before I do that, just tell me first and foremost, who is Rasul or Rasul?
Rasul Jai. Rasul Jai. That was the name. That was the name of the band that I gave the band.
Okay.
And it basically means the family of Rastafari. Yeah, and the reason, the reason why I did this version is because the original Easy was on Island Records. Now, when I did the album for Gem Records, I couldn't get that original version to put on the new album, so I just did a new arrangement to it and put it on the album. So and so there's that version, and there's also a soul version and another reggae version of it that's never been released.
Oh wow!
Oh geez,
more investigating to be done.
But there you go. Yes.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let's play this particular one. Now, this goes again. I think it goes back to 1980. Take a listen.
ERB Radio Podcast.
Girl, I'm leaving you tomorrow. Seems to me, girl, you know I've done all I can. the morning. That's why I'm easy. I'm easy like Sunday morning. Why in the world would anybody wanna put chains on me? I'm paying my dues to make it. Everybody wants to be what they want it to be. I'm not happy when I try to fake it. No, that's why I'm easy. I'm easy like Sunday morning. That's why I'm easy. I'm easy like Sunday morning. I want to get high, so high. I want to be free to know the things I do are right. I want to be free, just me. That's why I'm easy.
People, you've got to go into YouTube and watch the remainder of that video.
That's right, because you don't really want to turn it off.
Well, my goodness,
So,
it took time to get used to that guitar solo, but
yeah.
now I'm comfortable listening to it because I'm listening to it now with a fresh pair of ears, you know? Brilliant rendition.
Yeah, one of the things that saddens me when I watch that video is that all the musicians, apart from one, have passed away.
Mm.
You know, so it's a bit of sadness, but sweetness and sadness at the same time. It's sweet because of the memories, but sad in knowing the fact that apart from the keyboard player, they've all passed.
Mm.
Wow.
Oh, everybody passed but the keyboard player.
Yeah, the keyboard player and myself are the only ones that are still alive.
Rah.
Yeah.
Mm. My condolences.
Honestly, my condolences, because you know you could see the unity in the.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
In that, I'm sure that's.
You know how we managed to get that get off of that show. It was a time when I was actually touring with Ronnie Lane. The producer came over from Germany to actually see Ronnie Lane, and I was on stage with Rasuja at the time, and he was impressed with what he heard. Pierre Rossell, his name is, and he actually offered me the Rock Palace gig before Ronnie. You know, so we was able to go and do that, and I was and it was a show that went out not just in Germany, but once a month they do it throughout the whole of Europe. So that was like a special that they had us on, and we went out throughout the whole of Europe.
Right.
Yeah.
And remind me, what country was that again?
It was shot in Germany, in Cologne.
Germany, okay. For some reason, I kept thinking Budapest for some reason. You know?
No, it's definitely Cologne, Germany.
Okay.
Yeah, we were there for about 2 or 3 days.
3 days, okay. 1980?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it was about 1988, around about that time.
Right.
Wow.
Okay. So where does Jimmy Lindsay head to? You know, because again, even though you had this uphill battle, with various producers and getting the recognition. By the time the two albums come out, you're being paid according to yourself, and you're able to pay your band. So things are looking up for you, I would imagine, right, at this time. I guess we'll be looking close to 1982, 83.
Yeah, up until 1982, I was on the road, and then I decided to take a break. So 1983, in January, I went down to Jamaica, and I just used to hang out there with families. I spent a lot of time in the baddest part of Kingston all together in Tivoli Gardens. Met some real hardcore bad man.
Real
And
bad man, as you just said.
and basically adopted them all. Yeah, and had some fantastic times down there. I was never ever threatened or disrespected in any way whatsoever. And I was like one of them for quite a long while. I used to, and I went there quite a lot of times between that 82 and say 85. I spent a lot of time in Jamaica, including spending a whole year down there at one stage.
Right.
Just taking in the vibes and just getting back to my roots.
Right. Now, I came to realize, just doing my little research, that you and Lgenday got together again at some stage. What year was that?
Well, that's another part of it as well.
Right.
We got invited to the BBC, by the BBC, to do a Soul Britannia show at the Barbican, which went out on BBC television. And it was a collection of bands like Average White Band, Gonzales, and a few other bands that was of that era. And the show went well. And so we did a Soul Britannia tour, throughout the UK. And after that, there was interest now in Lgenday. And the unit that we had together, which included Sam Kelly, who was an original drummer, Pablo Gonzalez, myself, and Mike Rose, we were all part of Lgenday anyway. So we got in touch with Patrick and Steve, and Patrick and Steve basically owned the name Lgenday. Yeah. And we explained to them, things are happening, and we want to do a Lgenday thing. So they said, okay, but you have to call yourself Lgenday too. All right, so we didn't have a problem with that. And we went along. We did, shows like in Paris and so on, and we did a few gigs around. We went to Ireland and did a festival there, and Wales and so on. We were doing festivals, and the thing started to bubble up now, right? And people started to re-engage with Lgenday and wanted to know more about Lgenday. And then we got an injunction from Patrick and Steve saying we can't use the name Lgenday anymore. And the next thing you know, they put a new Lgenday together, went in the studio, recorded a new album, and went out on the road. So basically, we sparked the fire, and they enjoyed the flame.
Right.
I think it was when we got Lgenday two together, we invited Patrick and Steve, and they said they didn't want to play music anymore. They didn't want to be a part of it because they both went on to a legal profession, and they they were comfortable with doing what they're doing. But then when they saw the success and they realized the opportunities, they decided, you know what, we're going to jump on this bandwagon now. You can't have it, and that's what they did.
Right.
Wow.
Right. Now Ray Carlos was part of
they went. Well, Ray Carlos was part of my band. He's what you saw playing the wind instrument in the Rock Palace gig. He's passed away as well. But Ray Carlos got involved with Lgenday because of the fact that he was my sax player at the time. When we was putting Lgenday 2 together, I brought him in.
Okay.
right? And then when Patrick and Steve decided to reestablish Simandi, they brought him in to be part of that Simandi.
Right.
And Mike Rose was there, but then Mike Rose left because he said he didn't want to play their music anymore, so he left. And in any event, Mike was doing a lot of stuff with Jules Holland, and he's still with Jules Holland now.
Right. Well, I tell you what, I want to play a video where Simande 2, I believe, you can correct me if I'm wrong, and they play at the Bloomsbury something town hall.
Oh, yeah, Bloomsbury. Yeah.
So I want to play that, and you can tell us about it.
ERB Radio Podcast.
Yeah, that's just a little
Jimmy
clip
and his
of
tambourine.
you at Bloomsbury Hall. What was it like? That's like revisiting.
Yeah, that was a London gig, and that was one of the first gigs we did as Simandi 2. And the Simandi's producer at the time, John Schroeder, which is the same guy that was producing the other Status Quo. He came along to the gig and he quite liked it. Also, Patrick Patterson, his son came along to the gig as well, and he quite liked it. It was a nice gig. The audience was really very receptive, and it went down really well.
Right. Simande are legends. I don't think they get spoken enough, about enough, for the great works they've done as original members as well, especially the original members, so we salute them for the works they've done. Sharon,
there is.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Jimmy.
Can you hear me? Okay.
There is a movie that was done. It's called Simandi Getting It Back, and it traced the history of the band and some of the things that they've achieved. I knew of it, but I hadn't watched it. But a couple of weeks ago, I actually had a chance and I watched it. It's on BBC iPlayer. I think it's probably on YouTube as well, but it's definitely on BBC iPlayer. Yeah, and it was good to even though I was a part of it, it was good to see what was happening, and also the impact that the music has had, not just in the UK, but around the world, and the fact that it got more recognition in places like America than it did in the United Kingdom, because of the fact that the media outlet wasn't as supportive to the band as they should have been, and also I think we don't support our homegrown as much as, for instance, our American counterparts, because you can make it in one state and become rich because the people that are going to support you. You don't get that level of support. They want to download the music free. They want to come in on the guest list. So how do you make a living?
Right.
It's situations.
Yes, very true.
And that's the sad part.
You have another song called Special.
So that's what I was going to bring up. I was like,
there you go. Take over.
Yeah, I was waiting for that one. I said, so tell me about Special, because I fell in love with
that is the latest. That is the latest single, and it's taken from an album that I've been making. I started it before the pandemic. We're still not finished it yet, but that was one of the tracks that I decided to put out from it, and it's just a song that celebrates the love that you have for somebody that's special in your life. It's just saying to them, I love you and that you're very special to me.
And this came out when, I think last year, was it around Valentine's Day? It came out at a perfect time, right? So, I mean, even though, yes, that's fine, it's Valentine's Day, but the words are just beautiful. Just beautiful wording. Yeah. So we are going to take a listen, right? Tensto?
Tell me when to play, and I'll play. As a matter of fact, I'm only going to play half of the tune.
Yes, so people can go and get it. We're going to play half. Yes.
Now, this is another one of those songs that grew on me,
Yeah.
The more I listened to it, the more I played it. And guess what? You actually took me back to the 70s, where songwriting was just rice and peas and chicken and cow foot that melt in the mouth.
Rice and peas.
Trust me. So let's play it, and then Sharon will take it over from there.
Yeah.
RB Radio Podcast.
I don't need no one to tell me I'm a lucky man. I've got your love, like a blessing sent from above. And from the way that I'm feeling, I'm floating on a magic carpet ride. I can reach out and touch the sky, 'cause I know you're all and all to me. And you know that I could never let you go. I wanna wake up each morning beside you. I just wanna share every passion till night. And I need to know that you're always beside me. Such a special part of my life. You give me reasons to believe in every single thing.
Let the people go watch it, man.
Listen, this episode, you better stop it now. But it's very heartfelt. You know what I'm saying? It's heartfelt. Your delivery, which is why it's touching. You know what I mean? It's one of
I think I think what we don't tell people who we love how much we love them often enough. It's like you don't want to wait until they're dead and gone to say, oh, how much I love her. whilst they're still here with you, you've got to tell them that, they're a special part of your life and that you love them. And this is what this song is doing. I'm saying, I mean, what's more important than waking up each morning beside the person that you love most? So that's where that's where it's coming from, really.
Well, yeah, well, it was heartfelt. It was 100% heartfelt, and that's the beauty in itself. Now, I have a question I've been wanting to ask. Something you said before, but just from your perspective, what is your thoughts on the music today, given the response you just now had with this song?
That is, for me, that's a very, very angry subject for me at the moment. Because
yes, and I'm sorry I had to go there because 10
No, I mean,
10 Star and I feel the same way. Go ahead, say it.
I feel not just myself, but people like myself who have actually dedicated themselves to music that's uplifting, that's romantic, that's educational. And when I see what's happening out there now, I am absolutely disgusted with it.
Yes, sir.
I've got daughters. My mother's still alive. I've the female relatives, and I respect them. The most disrespectful thing I ever said, and I don't make no apologies about it, is when I said, "The bitch is dead. Long live freedom and justice," because I meant that.
Yeah.
But what's happening out there now with this spreader out and shut-in culture, it's just absolutely disgraceful. I see some of them women that are just degrading themselves. They're not. They're your basic little slappers out there. They're not selling music. They're selling nastiness. They're selling slackness. And then you have other people that's selling this gun out business that's going to encourage you to go and kill somebody. Now I never heard Bob or Dennis or Spear or Gregory ever said go and kill anybody. Yeah. And I never heard any of them, degrading our women and calling them bitches and whores and what have you. And I never saw Marcy Griffiths or any of those female artists spreading themselves out like little tramps. Yeah. So that really, really gets to me, because I think it's an absolute betrayal of everything that we've achieved within reggae music. And what dancehall is doing now is just absolutely disgraceful. And I don't care how much money you're making, as far as I'm concerned, you're absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
There it is. I mean, 10 Star and I have had many conversations. We've had many people come on and we talk about this so-called dancehall, lovers rock, whatever it is going on, and just they've destroyed the name. They've destroyed.
Like I said, I've got daughters, and I don't want them to believe that they're just a sex object, that they can be exploited and used in that way. I don't want them to feel that you have to expose yourself to that level for men to look at you, or for men, because men don't as a man, I don't respect that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you as a woman don't have any respect for yourself, don't expect me to respect you.
Right.
You understand me? So that's where I'm at. And like I said, I am absolutely sickened by it. I speak to some people as well. I speak to some guys, and they're into this little nasty girl and that little nasty girl. And I said, well, haven't you got daughters? Would you like them to be? Oh, no, I don't. So if you don't want your daughter, why are you supporting this rubbish? Why are you supporting this nastiness? Mm-hmm. And they can't defend it, because it's indefensible. You cannot defend that if you're a decent person. What's happening out there now, and it's like what a lot of them don't seem to realize. Yeah, it's a deliberate attempt to corrupt our music. You look at what's happening in the States. Yeah, all of them rap artists and then artists that are dealing with gun this and gun that, right? But who's behind all of this? There's about 4 or 5 companies that distribute it, and they're all run by white men.
Yeah,
you understand me? So if you're not telling one nigga to go and shoot another nigga, they don't want to know. If you're talking about unity, if you're talking about getting together and the strength of ourselves as being as a unified object, no. Yeah, and you know they give them all these trimmings. You see, they come on there with all these big gold chains and the flash cards and what have you. Yeah, some of the richest people in the world. Yeah, when you see them out there on the street, they're not exhibiting no gold chain and no big ring and all that crap because they
That's
know
true.
that all that is rubbish. You understand me? But they brainwash these idiots into thinking that that's where you need to be. You have to have the big gold chain. You have to have the nice car. And not only that, but you have to show it up. And sometimes it's not even theirs. They just have it in the video and pretend it's theirs because they think it's going to score them brownie points. Yeah, but to me, that is actually decimating the culture, right? And it's basic, the same basic thing that they used in slavery. They're still perpetuating it now by getting us to lose respect for one another. You understand me? Because if you don't respect somebody, then where are you? You know, if I don't have any respect for you, where does that make us? How do we come together if we don't respect one another? And that's what the music and that's what hip hop has done in America, and that's what dancehall is doing now. Because the people that's really making the money out of it are not the artists; it's the people behind it that's making the money. You understand me? I mean, when you get convicted murderers going out there and selling music and making big concerts and everything, and everybody's bigging them up, right? And what are they? They're criminals.
Yeah,
They shouldn't be in the music. You see, as far as I'm concerned, if you're a musician, you deal with music. If you're a criminal, go and deal with criminality. Don't mix the two of them up because the two of them are totally different.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely, you're not wrong. One of the things that I came to understand, and I saw it being revealed in a video. I need to try and find it one day and you know post it on my page, where one of the executives came out and said, you know, that when artists actually go for these meetings to sign contracts, or even once they've gone past the contract stage, and the artists themselves, whether, you know, rap artists, for instance, and they want to bring a level of consciousness to uplift their listeners, right? The people who support their music, who go out and buy their, whether it's vinyl, MP3 or whatever, the execs don't actually want the artist, uplifting the artist. They want something lewd. It's got to have something with the N-word or something sexual if they want to make money, you know, which makes absolute sense why they're doing what they do in order to make money. My question is, how do we get through these sticky situations?
It's about education, and it's about getting to a level of consciousness where we start to educate ourselves and our young people, so that they start to understand the theory behind what these people are doing. Because it's not about uplifting us. It's about it's the same thing like slavery. You know, they've always had the house nigger, and the house nigger was loyal to the slave master, and the house nigger was there to keep you in your place. And that's basically what they're doing with hip hop, right? They get these artists and they big them up, but at the end of the day, they're really just house niggers. And their philosophy is feeding you all this bull to keep you down, you know, because whilst I'm killing you and you're trying to kill me, they're making money.
Right.
You know, and that's what it's about. It's an extension of slavery. But too many of them don't even have the common sense and the awareness to realize what's happening. Because why? They're making a bag of money and they think that that's it. That's all there is to it.
That's it. Which is why the artists themselves, the hip hop artists, not really thinking about the crime rate and the correlation between the lyrical content of what they're releasing into the atmosphere and the youths then, you know, dying and killing themselves, you know, in the same vein. So to me, it's almost like fighting a losing battle, because when we mention these things to various individuals in the industry, you know, there's every, you know, you're liable to be called a hater or an enemy of progress, as they like to use.
I posted a question to Kanye West and Jay-Z, and I said, 99 bit whatever problems, and the bitch ain't one. And I said to them, which bitch are you talking about? Is it your mother? Is it Beyonce? Is it your daughters? Is it your grandmother? Which bitch are you talking about? No, they've not responded, and I didn't expect them to, because they can't.
Right.
You know, because, you know, like I said, you know, I've got daughters. My mother, fortunately, is still alive. You know, and if anybody call my mother a bitch, me and them are going to have troubles. Simple as that. You understand me? Because that's my mother, and I have to respect her no matter what. You understand me? Just like I respect my daughters and so on. Yeah. So once you're starting to disrespect them, then you and I are going to have problems. Simple as that.
Right. Right. Absolutely. I continue to pray for change, you know, because as we have seen before our eyes, hip hop has, and I'm talking about the negative side of hip hop, has helped to destroy communities, you know, and we're seeing it, you know, before our eyes, you know, even when we relate it to dancehall music and the vulgarity that is going on, it's destroying some of our, you know, men and women, you know, young youths, you know, out there. So something definitely has to change, you know. I'm a lover of buying music, you know, dancehall music, revival music, blues, you name it. And, you know, over the last couple of years, I've seen a massive drop in terms of me spending my money on dancehall music.
Same. 100%.
I refuse to spend my money on the.
You know, like I said, decent people who respect themselves are not going to go out and buy what's out there in a lot of what's out there in dancehall. And I'm not saying that all dancehall is like that, but too much of it is like that.
Yeah.
You know, when you get female artists coming on stage without any knickers and showing off themselves and ways, what has that got to do with the music? What are you selling?
Right.
You know, it just disgusts me completely, because it degrades us as human beings. You know, as black people, we should be striving for a higher level of consciousness than that. And, you know, I don't care how much money you're making out of it. As far as I'm concerned, if you're going out there like that, you're just a nasty little sucker. End of story.
So one of the questions we have to ask ourselves, the difficult question. I'll pose it again. How do we get through this? How do we start raising the awareness, or even making positive moves to make a change? Because, you know, I don't know whether we blame the producers of this music, or we blame the artist. If the artist says they want to come with a level of consciousness, and the producer say, I want gun lyrics, how do you get through that without destroying an artist's career?
I think conscious people have to stop supporting it, because money speaks. I mean, if people are not buying it, they'll eventually stop making it. It's also about education, educating our young people, so that, especially our young women, so that they realize that there's more to them than just their sexuality and them being a sex object. You know, because first and foremost.
Go ahead. Sorry, I thought you had finished. Go ahead.
I mean, first and foremost, you know, they are human beings. They're not sex object. They've got a brain. You know, they can be educated. They can have a constructive and a definitive existence outside of sadness and violence. You know, because that shouldn't really come into it. So we need to educate children and young people and showing them, you know, that what they're seeing isn't relevant to what they can become. Because I think, you know, if we have positive role models, I mean, people in the music business like Marcia Griffiths, she's a positive role model within the music business that, you know, if for instance, one of my daughters wanted to be inspired and was inspired by Marcia Griffith, I would feel proud. You know, not none of them little dirty slappers that's out there at the moment. You understand me? So it's about education. And it's about, you know, collectively. It's not just you and I as individual, but collectively, all of us has to get to a level of consciousness where we start to reject that, and we start to educate our children so that they know that they should be above that. Both our young men and young girls, they need to know that they are above that, and that's not what they should be striving towards.
So are we then saying, in light of everything we're saying, would it be fair to say consumers of the music are a large chunk of the problem?
Yeah, yeah. Because like I said, if they're not buying it, then the people that's producing this slackness and nastiness will stop making it. Yeah, because if they make it, they're the only ones that's going to be interested in listening to it, and they're in it to try and make money. So once they're not making any money from it, they'll stop playing it. And not only that, but all the DJs and so on that's out there in the dancehall, on the local radio stations and so on, they have a part to play as well. Because if they stop playing it, they will become part of the solution and not remain part of the problem. As long as they're playing it, then other people are being exposed to this, and it's wrong. So they need to have a level of consciousness and know that type of slackness, that type of nastiness, that type of gunarchism, it doesn't have any part to play in music whatsoever. Stop playing it.
Yeah. Well, I pray for change for the future for all of our sakes, especially our children's and the ones coming up behind. And definitely, we need to go back to, because I remember we used to have the big gram, and you could put about 10 records on it, back in those days, and you could put 10 records on a spindle, and I always wanted to be the person to select the tunes to go on there. So when my father gave me the opportunity to go, put the record, I was putting music like "There Was an Old Woman Who Lived in a Shoe." I think it's Eric Monty Morris, right? And songs like that, Judge Dredd, and not the Judge Dredd you're thinking of, but the Judge Dredd. What's his name? What's his name? Prince Buster.
Yeah, Prince Buster.
We were putting those songs on, and my parents were the people that taught me music, playing the rap music. I guess we came from a blessed era in time where the music was great. That's not to say slackness didn't exist, because it did.
Oh, yeah, I mean, you used to have things like, "What is catty, big boy? What is catty?" But it wasn't nasty. It was suggestive, but it wasn't nasty.
You remember Fenzik?
Yeah. And Dr. Kitch.
Yes.
Dr. Kitch is terrible. I can't stand the size of your needle. But like I said, it was suggestive, but it wasn't dirty and nasty, which is what
the whole thing. Precisely. Yes. Max Romeo, classic Max Romeo, Wet Dreams.
Yeah, I mean that was about at the edge of that era, because even when they used to play it on the BBC, they never actually mentioned the title. Right. They just used to play it.
Right.
But I remember, I mean, as even before then, with the Blue Spot Gram and so on, and one of the favorite albums at the time was Jim Reeves.
Yes.
Nearly every black household, nearly every black household he went to on a Sunday, they'd be playing Jim Reeves.
That's true.
For real.
Yeah.
Especially on a Sunday. Welcome to
my
world. Yep. Welcome to my world. Listen, we're going to round up, but I can't let you go without asking you another personal question, which we said we were going to talk about weeks ago. And your battle with cancer. I had no idea you were battling cancer. Tell me about your cancer. I know you got.
Well, that's something that I've been talking about now for some time. On the 13th of this month will be 8 years since I had my prostate operation, and so far I was cancer free up until late last year, when I got invited to a screening, and after the screening, they were concerned, and I was referred to Guy's Hospital, where they did some more deeper investigation, and found that I had a cancerous nodule on my right lungs. And in December, I went into guys and had an operation where they took a little piece of my lung out, and fortunately took cancer. But to come back to my first experience, because you and I spoke about it, and and I'm more than happy to talk about it, because if by talking about it, I can get even one person, just one man, to go and get himself checked, actually find it in time, that's a life saved. And it's so important, because too often we black men feel that we're invincible, that we're going to live forever, and there's nothing that's going to affect us, but it can happen to you. And so it's very important that you go and get yourself checked. If you're 45 and over, if you're a black man, go and get yourself checked, just to be on the safe side. If what I can say to the ladies, if it's your husband, your boyfriend, your brother, or whatever, encourage them to go and get themselves checked. It is a simple blood test. And if the blood test reveals that there's need for them to go further, then they will do. Now, I know that a lot of black men, and I'm going to be crude when I say it, but I'm not making nobody put their finger on my bum and that. You got a choice. You get a finger up the bum, or you get a trip to the cemetery. And that's the choice. And it is as real as that. You understand me? So if you think that you're not going to go through that, and you prefer to die, then go ahead. But what I could say to them is that our women folks have to go through those type of very intrusive procedures when they check for cervical cancer and stuff like that, and they go through it so that they can be alive and be with us. So what is so special about you that you think you can refuse to get this type of treatment and still expect to live? No, you're gonna die. And I've seen too many people. Some of my close friends have died from prostate cancer. And the thing is, prostate cancer is one of the easiest cancers to cure, because it's not as aggressive as most cancers. So if it's caught early, it can be dealt with. Now, I was very lucky, because I didn't see any signs. I woke up 2 mornings in a row, and I had slight blurred vision in my eyes, and I do wear spectacles. So I went along and I saw my optician, and he checked out my eyes. Nothing absolutely wrong with my eyes. And he thought I might have just had a mild migraine or something like that. And he said, well, Mr. Lindsay, when was the last time you had a checkup? And me, being the typical idiot black man, I decided, you know what, I'm bigger than being checked out, because that can't happen to me. Right? When my optician spoke to me, I decided, you know what? Let me humble myself. Let me go and get it checked. And I was fortunate. That same week, I went to my local surgery, and they took some blood tests and so on, and they came back to me and told me that they were concerned about my PSA level, and then they referred me to Guy's Hospital, and Guys did some more detailed search and realized it was in fact prostate cancer. And within weeks, I was in hospital. I had the operation. I was only in overnight. I had the operation. The next morning, I came home, and I've been in a recovery stage since then. Had I taken that attitude that too many of us take, I would be dead today. Not if or buts. I would be dead. So this is why I try to encourage as many men as I speak to, or as many women as I speak to on the subject. If you're a man, go and get yourself checked. If you're a woman, encourage your man, your husband, your friend, whatever, tell them to go and get themselves checked. It's a simple blood test. And if there's no need, then they don't have to go any further, and you get that reassurance at least, And if you're younger, you should get yourself checked at least every 2 years. If you're older, over 50s and 60s, you should get yourself checked every single year to be on the safe side. Now, sometimes the test might not necessarily show up, but that's very rare. And sometimes it might say that it's positive when it's negative, but that's also rare. But the fact is, if you don't go and get yourself checked, you will never know. And the hardest part of it is usually by the time you start to see signs, it's too late. You're going to die.
Yeah.
So that is why it's so important for you to get yourself checked.
Yeah.
So that it's caught early enough and it can be dealt with. Don't wait until you start to experience discomfort when you're urinating and things like that. Don't wait for that.
Right.
If you're over 45, go and get yourself checked. I can't repeat it more. More. I can't emphasize just how important it is for us to do that, because it's gonna save your life if they catch it in time.
Amen. Absolutely, you're not wrong. And I'm beginning to realize, over the last year, that food can also suppress cancer, the growth of it, and the speed at which it grows, just simply by changing your diet from acidic foods to alkaline. Because apparently we now know acidic food will inflame cancer, So once you're able to decipher what is acidic from what is alkaline, that is also a good way to fight, as well. I'm glad you were able to get through your battle, with cancer, and you made the right decisions for yourself. My father died from stage 4 prostate cancer. Within 4 days of us knowing that he had cancer, he was gone, and it's like, what? So, and I know many others to have gone that way as well, so.
Mine too.
We need to continue to raise that awareness, and I'm glad you were able to come on the show and share your experience.
I will be doing a video, and I put that out on the 13th of this month to repeat what I've just told you, really, because every year I update it and let people know that, get the message. Hopefully they'll get the message. And like I said, if even one person, if even one man discovers it early enough, then I'm more than happy, because I know that is a life saved. And it's so important, and I really wish that, people will share this information and get this out there as much as possible, because it's out of ignorance that a lot of us as black men are dying. And like I say, my motto is finger up the bum or a trip to the cemetery. So you have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
But that's real talk, though. It's mostly Caribbean men that don't,
Yeah, well, I mean, we are 4 times more likely to develop prostate cancer than anybody else. So that is why it's so important for us to get ourselves checked.
Yeah. Ignorance is killing many of us, so we need to.
And it shouldn't. It shouldn't. Yeah. We just have to do the right thing, go and get ourselves checked, and at least be assured or reassured that we're okay for at least the next year or so. It's a very slow, it's not a very aggressive cancer. It works very slowly. So the sooner you catch it, the better the chances are that you can be treated. There's radiotherapy or chemotherapy that you can use to deal with it. I chose for the operation to take the prostate out to get rid of it, so I know I'm not going to have to worry about it in future. But there are side effects to that. But you can do the radiotherapy or chemotherapy. But I just felt that the chemotherapy might work, and then maybe a few years later on down the line it might come back again. So I just had it removed.
Right.
And I must say, what's on here is that I had my operation at Guy's Hospital, and I can't praise them more than because they was absolutely fantastic. They made me feel comfortable. They looked. I got 100% treatment there, and I am grateful to them, because had it not been for them, I'd be dead. Simple as that.
Right. I'm actually at Charing Cross Hospital to treat mine, which is pretty good as well. I don't know if one is better than the other, but we have to put a level of faith.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, like I said, I've got every respect for them, and not just for them, but the medical profession in as much, because I want to see both doctors and nurses and everybody in the medical profession being paid properly, which they've not been. A lot of them are not being paid properly, and at the end of the day, we all need them, because it's only when we get sick we realize just how valuable they are.
Right.
and you get all these politicians that are paying themselves massive amount of monies, and yet they're refusing to pay the doctors and the nurses a sensible living wage. No doctor and nurse should have to go to a food bank to be able to eat and things like that. They should be properly paid because the job that they do is just so important because they're the ones that's keeping us alive. So what price do you put on your life?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I tell you what, I've had so much fun with you on this show today, so much information. Thanks for sharing the journey. If I was to ask you so far to where you are today, how satisfied are you with what you've achieved so far and with how people are revered to you? What would your response be?
Well, first of all, I'm humbled by the amount of love that I've seen and it has been exhibited to me over the years. I'm appreciative in the fact that I've been able to travel to many parts of the world that I would not necessarily have gone to. Um, I've met some really fantastic and interesting people, um, and I am grateful that I've had the opportunity and although limited, a certain amount of success within my music, and I am very grateful for that.
Hmm. What would you say the limitness is? What is that limited to, would you say?
Sorry.
What are you limited to? Where you say you're limited?
No. I mean, I never became as big as Bob Marley, So, but I'm grateful to what I've achieved out there and the respect that I've received and the love from people who I've never known have shown me so much respect and so much love. You know, I mean, I've gone to places where I was in St. Lucia one time, and I was in a hotel there on the beach, and this guy came and says, "Oh, you're Jimmy Lindsay, aren't you?" I said, "Yes." And apparently, he was visiting St. Lucia, and he lives in the Republic of Ireland, and he recognized me from a magazine he had read about me and my music, and I thought, that took me back, and there's things like that sort of gives you a sort of a warmth within yourself when you realize the impact that you've had out there on people that you've never known or you never expected to meet, but they know you, they know your music. It was the same thing when I was in Africa. I was in Ghana, and people found out that I was actually one of the members of Simandi, and that one of the tracks that they all loved, and they called it a little smoothie track. It was called Changes. Was a track that I actually sang on, and when the way they reacted to me when they realized that I was that voice that they'd loved and was listening to all them years, it was overwhelming. It was great.
No matter what, you are celebrated and recognized around the world. Well, especially by us, but I already know your name, Jimmy, the one Jimmy. You have made an impact in the reggae industry, in the rock industry. You've tapped into every single thing. You've made that impact. You are a staple. You are a staple in the communities. We want to thank you so much. I still can't believe I even got to talk to you. This is like amazing. You're an amazing individual, and you're very real. You are yourself. It doesn't seem like there is nothing that's changed about you. You are you. And that's what makes you unique. And that is what is giving you the longevity. Despite all that you went through, you're still here to tell the tales. And I know there was the nostalgia of, playing with your bandmates and knowing they're not even here just by one person. That is deep in itself, which shows to me all the information that you now know. If they had known some of that information, they probably would still be here. right? If they had known
Yeah.
all some things, they would still be there and probably taking a little better care of themselves. But as an artist of your genre, of your stature, all the things that you have learned, you are continuing to build because you've learned. I better take care of myself. I went and checked this out. You're still here to tell the tale. So for others in the industry, they will learn and understand the music is great. What you've done is great, but then there's you. Are you taking care of you? And you have shown that, because if you were able to do this in the early stage, you were paying attention. Others will ignore it and say, "Sure, is that all right, man? Me all right." But you recognized in the beginning and took control of that. So I commend you for that. Again, that's what makes Jimmy Lindsay. That's what makes you you. That's what makes you a unique, amazing individual. And I salute you for all that you've done.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Bravo.
I appreciate that, taking the time out to invite me to your program, to your podcast, and give me an opportunity to voice my views and opinions. I really appreciate that. And so thank you very much.
Okay, so before we leave, we have a question from Sparky Melody, and he wants to know, let's see.
Yes.
Has Sir Jimmy worked with Linda Lewis?
Linda Lewis was a part of Rasuja. He's the keyboard player from the first video you played when we did the Rock Palace gig. Linda Lewis was very much a part of the band, part of my music, yeah.
Rasuji, Linda Lewis. Wow, what a thing. Legends working with legends.
Legends working with legends.
Yeah.
Yes.
Linda has done quite a bit. As a matter of fact, if you watch Tipper Irie's Hello Darling, and when Tipper Irie appeared on Top of the Pops, you will see this tall figure behind the piano, and don't be confused because he's wearing an afro. I do believe he has an afro in that video.
and the sax player on that track is Ray Carlos, which is also a part of my band.
Imagine. I didn't even know Ray Carlos was part of that.
Yeah.
Imagine. Awesome.
Wow.
Jimmy, we give you the 10-star salute, man.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Listen, we're always going to love to bring you back. You have another album coming out, whatever it is. We're very supportive of you.
The album is called More Love, and it will be eventually finished and released at some stage. But we started it before the pandemic, and we've been, sort of going through it and listening and adjusting and what have you. But eventually we're going to get it finished and we'll get it out there.
Okay.
People, we're going to be back here next week, Saturday and Sunday. And whew, what a show that's going to be. That's all I'm going to say. I mean, I'll say nothing more. Jimmy, salute to you, sir.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for being an awesome guest. Let's see. We have another message, I think. Norman, bless you, are a giant. Yes, musical heat wave. Norman Gentle says you are a giant. Yeah.
Thank you, Norman.
Yes. So we're going to get out of here. We'll be back here next week, Saturday and Sunday, same time, same place, 4 p.m. And we are going to exit just like this. Well, all I can say is slide.
Yeah.